Hello, greetings, and salutations. Welcome back to the BFC Live, where we go into the trenches of the trading world and interview everyone from CEOs, VPs, heavy investors, as well as the average retail investor. How you guys doing today? I'm going to keep looking at the chat to make sure I keep up with everybody. But before we get into this interview, all right, I need to give a couple shouts out. First of all, shout out to the ilus Discord. Man, been a long road. When I launched this channel, you guys were strong supporters and you continue to be so. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Another supporter is Sam Aker. So if you're digging deep into filings and you're into the stuff that if you read to a kid, you'll put him to sleep, well, go over to samakerfinance.com. He's really good at breaking down filings and give his material a read. And also join his YouTube channel. Those links are in the description, so have at it. Listen, lastly, I want to thank every single one of my subscribers, every single one of you that has liked the video, shared the video, and have shared comments. I love when you guys blow up the comment section, and even when you give me some grief in the comment section. That's what makes this all fun. So listen, I am thoroughly enjoying the ride, and also stick around until the end for 3 stocks that I think are poised for long-term growth. Nothing of what I say is financial advice. I'm just sharing my passion with you. So let's check the chat briefly here. We got Stuart Woods, welcome. Alec, welcome. John, welcome. All right, welcome everybody. Jord Hugga, good to have you guys. If you have any questions or comments, please have at it in the chat. So now, while I don't own any shares of AITX, I got to say I'm very excited to discuss AI and robotics today and learn more about the happenings at AITX. This is a topic that truly fascinates me, so I plan on putting on my learning cap and taking notes. So this is just going to be a fun one. So without further hesitation, let's bring him in. Let's bring in the CEO of AITX, Steve Reinharz. Steve, welcome to Buffalo Fireside Chats. How you doing?
Doing great. Happy to be here. I'm glad to have the invitation. Glad that Sam Aker hooked us up, and happy to share.
Yeah, that was great. I love having that guy on. It's sort of just sometimes he tells you things you like, and sometimes he doesn't. But he's a very objective personality, I gotta say, and that's a great way to be, especially when you're trading. You just want to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so now AITX, I gotta say, Artificial Intelligence Technology Solutions, AITX.ai. Check them out. That's the website. I put up 3 links up at the top of the chat, so have at it. It's also in the link below. So make sure you guys do your DD and. They have a killer website. They do weekly updates. I think they do daily updates too. So make sure you guys are checking that out. There's so much to talk about here. So let's talk about the different subsidiaries under the AITX umbrella. You got RadM, RadG. I just started digging into you guys, 3 to 4 weeks ago, and it's really cool stuff. But if you could differentiate those for the BFC community, that would be great.
Sure. Listen, we're probably going to talk some material information that hasn't been released yet. So I just want to give everybody a cautionary forward-looking statement disclosure. Go to any AITX site and just read the disclosures and understand that this is the best information we have. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for that.
I got you covered. I played it at the beginning too. So
I love that. Okay, thank you. I didn't know. So that's perfect. Great. Okay, so Eric, the way we have it worked out is that we have 3 separate subsidiaries that all roll into AITX, and we did it very specifically, and we did it with a lot of foresight. So the main engine that creates revenue for us right now, and really is the operating subsidiary, the primary operating subsidiary is Rad Inc. With that logo right there, with the big awesome yellow logo. But and that's the unit that's the company that has the dealer relationships, that creates the revenue, that does all that. So the question is why do we have RadG and why do we have RadM? Well, we'll start with RadM because this occupies a good deal of my thoughts. And those thoughts have to do with unlocking shareholder value. We at AITX have created a lot of technology, specifically autonomous self-driving technology, which is a big deal. And when I look around at other companies that are in that space that have much bigger budgets than we do and much better name recognition that we do, I think to myself, we've got a lot of the same stuff. What options can I have now or in the future to unlock that value for shareholders? That's how RadM came about, because RadM houses that autonomous navigation technology, which, Sam would be good at, creating some value models around. But, you could argue that it has a tremendous amount of value that's not reflected in our market cap right now. That's why RadM exists. Sometimes I think about spinning it out. I still do think about spinning it out. It could uplist to NASDAQ on its own in a couple, 3 years, depending on how we manage the books and depending on how its sales go. So that's why RadM exists.
That's weird. That's cool. If I could just go about the spin out. So that is a clever idea. I know there are other companies now that are doing that. And it's proving to be quite effective. If you were to do something like that, you could always consolidate everything basically to AITX, which is really nice as well too.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. The key for us in RadM is to start to build its own financials and start to have its own revenues come in and its own expenses and build its balance sheet. And the beauty of having 3 subsidiaries is that RadInc and AITX have absorbed a lot of the liabilities. So a spinoff of RadM can be a pretty clean company showing good growth, cash, low liabilities. And that would benefit AITX shareholders potentially. So that's an option on RadM. It's kind of cool, right?
Absolutely. That is cool. Great answer there. Keep going on about oh my gosh, what is it?
RadG.
RadG. That's what I thought I was going to say. But.
Yeah. So like a lot of the stuff that we do is powered by our own boards that we've built and created. We have 9 electronics engineers that build these things, test these things, and we do it in our own office. And that technology that we've built and created and written from ground up also has value. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take that board and I want to start putting it into electric charging stations, into remote areas, into areas where the value of RAD's basic premise of autonomous response would be valuable. So by the same tokens, RadG exists so that we can create other OEM direct relationships outside of RAD and have options, again, to spin off or build shareholder value a number of ways. That's why RadG exists.
Okay, and so I get it. And like me looking at it from an AI standpoint, the 2 you just described, when I think of AI, obviously I'm thinking about autonomous vehicles and robots showing up at your house, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which is it blows my mind. But there's a whole different element to that. And we're going to talk more about that later because, I found out some really interesting stuff in doing research. So things I'm going to share with you, which is pretty cool.
I love it.
So I got to bring this up because this is one of the things I found fascinating. And this is probably one of the things that really turned people on to invest in AITX. And I got to say it, RadDog. All right. So tell us more about RadDog. I mean, there's so many different components you have here. There he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, they're talking about getting another dog in the house, and I said, you know what, God rest my last dog's soul. We had 2 pets. They're not here anymore. They're not here. And I said maybe next year we'll do it, but maybe we could get a rad dog. I don't know. Like, the cleanup might be a little easier. I don't know.
Yeah, cleanup
So
will be a
tell us
little
about
easier.
Rad Dog.
Yeah, I mean, we've let's go back to the concept of AITX, right? AITX is designed to create devices, systems, and software, A to Z, right? We do everything, A to Z, to fill labor holes that we all suffer from. Now, some companies are creating service robots that are helping out in quick serve restaurants. You can say that the stanchion ordering that McDonald's has brought in is part of this trend. There's just a lot of trends of different types of service robots. We're part of that wave. But our focus is narrowly defined on what I call prop tech, property technologies. That includes access control of gates for trucks and people, doors, receptionist work, security guard work, inspections, all different kinds of work that fall in that category. So when I'm thinking about, hey, how do, again, I build shareholder value, I build sales, I improve our balance sheet, I get us to a beautiful event, hopefully in the future, I think about prop tech and what do we need to create? And what I see is a single platform that is managing a different types of stationary, mobile, and handheld devices. And that's what we've created. So for example, our ROSA units, They, have a lot of applications for your phone. They've got a dedicated application called RadLight My Way. And then you extend that theory and you take that same software and you run Rad Dogs on it, and you run Romeos on it, and you run other mobility products on it, so that as a client, you've got one throat to choke and you've got best in class devices and solutions to run your facility and your property. That's where things are going, 5 to 10 years. And I'm not saying that investors have to wait that long. Yeah, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that in 5 or 10 years, property management is going to be so much imbued with these types of devices, stationary, mobile, and software, that when you look back on 2020, it's almost going to be unrecognizable. And that change is going to happen pretty quick. It's happening right now.
Yeah, I really do. And it's not big now, but I think prop tech is going to be huge. And, I was looking at an article basically talking about like 2030, that artificial intelligence will add something like $15.7 trillion to the world's GDP, growing up by like 14%. So like this is going to be a big, big, big market. So you guys are obviously, you have the technology to do it. From an investment standpoint, and you look at a share price or something, you're like, okay, maybe it's not happening, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes with companies, especially with tech companies.
Let me ask you something. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to ask you a question, right? You said, hey, the share price doesn't reflect it. Okay, share price, whatever, 60, 5, 70 hundredths of a penny, whatever, which is important, obviously, very important. If we were a penny, we would be applying for QB in a heartbeat, right? I've said that 100 times. We were so close last time to getting on the QB. And the day that we got the approval, we fell under a penny. It was so crazy. Anyway, we'll get back. Hopefully, we'll see what we do.
Yeah.
But you got to look at our market cap.
Yeah.
Right. Because share price is one thing, but market cap is a whole nother thing. When I do a little bit of investing, not much. Most of my 95% of my life is in AITX and the subsidiaries. But I do a little bit of investing, very little. I look at the market cap and then I judge that to myself and I say, hey, whatever, they're sitting at around $35 million. What might they be at in 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, 2 days, 2 minutes from now, right? Are they really a $35 million company, right? Or are they $1 billion company or $2 billion company? Where is it going to go? So I know from an investor standpoint, a lot of people look at the price per share and they're like, hey, I'm up 5%, I'm down 5%, blah, 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 right? And you're playing that game. And that's what some traders do. God bless them. No issues there. The long-term guys, I think, and girls are looking at the market cap and they're saying $35 million. Are you kidding? So I know, and I'm grateful to those people on the team that have that outlook.
Yeah, and you guys are actually, I think you're at 43 million actually, if for market cap actually. So I just checked. I did check that today. Yeah, so
$75 million gets us on the QB.
Yeah,
we can hold it, and that's where I want to be.
Well, I'm rooting for you guys, and we're going to talk more about the market cap later. I'm just looking at the comments section now. The Victory Meta. I'm so glad I made it here. Dad life. I get it totally, 100%. Northern Lights, welcome. American Candle Factory. This is a sleeper. How you guys doing? Welcome to the BFC. Hope you guys are having a great night. So let me ask you a question about promotion. What is your plan to promote your sales when traditionally customers and some of your clients neither want to tip off people to what they're using for security or don't even want to admit that they have security issues? So what's your promotion tactic going to be like? Now, I'm not asking you to give anything away, but what's your spin on that?
Well, first, it's a great question. Let's talk about it because I know that it's a sore spot on from a lot of our investors. And they say, why can't you release your clients? Why, and then, we get obviously the negative, bashers pick it up and they, call it a scam. We don't know those customers. Well, go to our websites and you will see a variety of different customers. Go through our press releases and you will see a variety of customers. Do we have what is called a tombstone page? So company websites, they call it tombstones. I don't know why, but on that page, you'll have all your company logos that you deal with. Now, we don't have that because like you correctly confirmed, customers don't want to create an impression of insecurity. and investors are just going to have to deal with it, as there's nothing I can do to get around it. It's not a decision I've made. But I will say that I have, a non-public investors deck, right, that I use from time to time, depending on who I'm talking to, what kind of money I'm trying to raise, or what seeds I'm trying to plant with investment banks or whatever. And that page blows my mind, So it's quite an impressive page. Everybody on the AITX team needs to keep their fingers and toes crossed. We're coming to the end on a couple of pilots that are wrapping positively, and so those logos would blow people away. But in both of those cases, both areas would be public, and our AITX investors would find them, and it wouldn't be long before the information would be public.
Got it. So talking about your customers, what's your retention rate percentage on customers so far, and what is what's the percentage of customers who have ordered additional units, and have any of them been upgraded to like the more expensive products like Romeo? And if you want to share a little bit about Romeo too, that'd be great too.
Sure. Okay, so I don't, like I said, you sent me some amazing questions. I kind of briefly took a look at them, and I said to you, these questions are amazing. And at the same time, I said, I'm not going to look at them again until I'm not even going to look at them, because I just prefer a more natural flow. I don't want to do prep. I just want it to be really natural, organic. So I can say that our retention is well over 90% on an annual basis. I can say that a significant portion of sales that we get are recurring sales from existing customers that are not upgrading, but expanding. So yes, most of our customers like our stuff and expand it for sure. At the same time, we lose customers from time to time. Absolutely, for sure, like everybody does. But it's under 10%. And that number is actually, I think, tagged to like a payout that I get to accrue. I'm incentivized to keep attrition down. I'm personally incentivized to do that. My comp plan mirrors what we want as investors, which is why I wrote it that way. Romeo is crazy, right? Like Romeo, I love Romeo. We've spent so much time and money on Romeo over the years. I mean, we're hitting some really cool markers with Romeo right now. We got a lot of inventory, $500,000-$600,000 in inventory, but Romeo will be delayed. The next version of Romeo will be delayed. And the reason is a good reason. Reason is that we're concentrating on the dog, putting all of our resources into the dog in order to get the first two versions of the dog out into the marketplace quickly. This is what we have to do. With Stars on Mars hitting Fox prime time, and with presumably this incredible cast calling it RadDog, and with the branding on the device, it would be a bad decision for me not to bring RadDog to market the best and quickest way possible. That's why Romeo's delayed. The other thing about Romeo, though, and our mobility roadmap, which we will release in the next couple of weeks, an updated mobility roadmap, is there's a product that you'll see on the roadmap called Mobile 3. And you've got RadDog coming out, you got Mobile 3 coming out, and then you got Romeo 3 coming out. And so this is the first time that we've publicly announced that there's another mobility project underway. And I think that given the market, given what's happening in the market, I've accelerated its development over Romeo, because I think that it will be able to bring results to our financial statements faster than Romeo will.
That's awesome. We did have a question here, and it was from John. And hi, Steve. Did the mobile robotics tech make it back safely from filming Stars on Mars yet?
Wow, John, good to see you. Good to see the question. Thanks for it. I'll be very descriptive. As you know, I am when I'm on these calls. We sent 5 RadDogs to the show.
Wow.
So I can't say more because I'm already on thin ice with Fox on some of the things I've said and what we've done. I got to try and say that. So 5 dogs went. They are being packed up. It's in Australia, as everybody knows. That's public. So they are in tomorrow or yesterday. I don't know. But I know that our guy gets home on Friday, back to Canada. And quite frankly, I haven't tracked the dogs. I don't know if he's traveling with any of them or if they're being sent by freight separately. I'm sorry, I don't know.
You got 5 stray dogs.
Yeah, there are 5 dogs floating around either the ocean or the airport, or who knows where they're at.
You must be pretty amped up about this whole thing, though. I mean, like now that I've had a couple conversations with you, and I'm totally gonna watch the show. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Obviously.
oh, I mean, I've got to watch the show. Like, I don't even watch much TV. Like, it's just not my thing. Some people are creators, some people are consumers, and I lean more on the creation side. So, but I'm going to watch the show. They had that ad that came out, the promo piece that came out yesterday or Monday, which was amazing. And there's some surprises on it, but you can't ask me too many questions because I am not the best secret keeper. So I got to stay in my lane.
That happens with us enthusiastic people. Trust me, I know.
There you go.
I let things slip out sometimes I shouldn't,
Yeah. But I will say, like, I mean, the community needs to just be shaking their head along with me and our team saying, hey, it's an unpaid placement where Fox actually deferred a pile of our costs and they let us keep our branding on it. Like, huge. So after it starts getting released, we're going to release more information about it. I'll be able to talk more freely about it. A little bit of behind the scenes stuff and some interesting things. So yeah, it's really exciting. And I want to drive as many viewers to Fox as we can. I want Rad Dog to be on other shows and do the talk show circuit. Let's see where it goes. I mean, let's hope.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. And I have to ask this question. Because this is one thing that came to mind. And if you could talk about the exec system too, when I asked this question, because I found it fascinating when I was on your website. I work in education, and we have witnessed an epidemic of violence, not only on the streets but in our schools. Is AITX talking to schools, universities, etc., to expand in this area? And what other areas is AITX actively seeking out?
Sure. Well, let's take a turn from the happy stuff that we get to talk about a lot, and address some of the more difficult situations that we face in our country, and how AITX can help. So I'll break it down into 2 main categories. The first is firearm detection and how that works in schools for us. And listen, you're in schools. I can tell you that we probably have probably somewhere between 20 and 30, or 20, probably between 20 and 30, maybe more, I don't know, schools, school districts, and higher education stuff, So like, I think a couple top 10 American school districts are in our sales funnel right now. And it's fascinating. My mother was a teacher for 45 years, by the way. So I feel like I'm part of the education system. But, superintendents, principals, board members, they don't want to think about it and they don't want to address it. And the feeling that I get is they're just happy to roll the dice and play the odds that nothing happens while they're on the job. And it's frustrating. It's depressing. I know I get AITX investors that are parents reaching out to me after an incident and just sharing their thoughts and fears. And I'm with them. And it's horrific. And I know to the core of my soul that using RAD's firearm detection or any comparable system could save lives. And it's tragic. And I don't know what to do about it. But I've got an interesting ad campaign coming out in June, which Doug, our chief marketing officer, and I are kind of refining with Mark, our president, right now, which is designed to kind of help push that ball forward. But it's hard. People don't want to deal with it. Maybe you can answer the question more than I can. Why aren't school boards buying and deploying firearm detection?
Well, it's actually, that is remarkable. I'm not going to say specifically where I work, but I know that they have made security a very high priority, more so than most of the districts I see. So that, I don't want to bring work into pleasure here, but that's the truth. I do notice that, but there is always something more you could do. And like, I do agree with the comment that what Northern Lights said here. Rosa plug and play security solution should be in every school. And the truth is that long gun detection, it could be huge and could save a lot of lives. And the fact that there's a 2-second, I watched the video, there's a 2-second response time to that is freaking unbelievable. And so I think that is, I mean, that in and of itself, it's going to market itself because it's safety. So thanks for addressing that question. That one hits home to me because I deal with that every day, and you know what, it's just a hard thing to deal with, and you never want to hear about bad things that happen, but that's inevitably where we are.
One last piece on it, if I may.
Yeah.
We did press release this. We made it public, but our first firearm detection education customer is a school in New Jersey called the Rosenbaum Yeshiva, and this week they got their 4 roses. Or last week they got their 4 roses. This week we went out to the site to spot and confirm the locations and start the arrangements for the installation of those units. So it's very exciting. I expect that school and the staff there to be real, flag bearers for us. And they were heavily involved in the testing and refinement of our analytic along the way. So. Yeah, I mean, we're here. We're ready to do it. The tech works. Let's get the orders. Get the orders, but there's only so much I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have a question from Jordan Hugga here. Does the proprietary tech in your devices have patents, or how do you prevent others from copying your roadmap?
I have a long list of patents that I need to get filed. And I'm just going to share that I haven't attended to it as well as I might have liked. I've got a lot of competing priorities with my time. I think it's over 30 different patents that the engineering group sees us as being able to patent. And, just reading your mind and some other people, like, why aren't you doing this, Steve? It's so important. Patent. The reason is that tech patents aren't particularly worthwhile. And then the folks that have followed me for a while know this and have heard me say it, but I'll say it again for any new faces that hopefully we're reaching out to. If you don't copy somebody's code, you can come out with the exact same functionality and the patent doesn't provide any support. What the patent does do is it occupies your time and money with attorneys. And then all of a sudden you have a patent library that you have to defend, which could be hundreds of thousands of dollars per patent, depending on what's happening in the market. There's a case, there's an example from our industry, from the security industry, that I think about all the time when I think about how to use our limited time and money. There's an old company called Object Video. And Object Video was one of the early pioneers in the security industry that created analytics. And they had a huge patent library. And meanwhile, everyone else just wrote the exact same analytics with their own code. Now, despite that, Object Video managed to sell their patent library. They had a huge job. None of their stuff worked. Company nearly went bankrupt. Sold the patent library for like, I don't know, a 10-figure number to somebody who regrets it to this day. So, it's things like that to think about, right? Do I want a shiny list of patents? In order to drive balance sheet value? Yes, I do. And yes, we will get them. I made that commitment a couple quarters ago. But is it a real priority for us? I don't know, And I know investors are going to say, well, there's timing limits. Yes, I know. But the way that we're going to win this market is not in the courtroom. It's in the market. That's how we win. There's so many companies that thought they had the best patent and sued General Motors or sued Apple as a great example, or any one of those big things and said, hey, intermittent wipers were my invention. It's another great patent story. The guy who invented intermittent wipers was ignored by the big car companies. They all went with intermittent wipers. Now it's a mechanical, it's a different thing than a software piece. And I want to say it took 20 or 25 years for him to get paid out on the thing. Okay. Wow. So there's more to patents than meets the eye. And I'm happy to share some of that background because you asked the question.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. Let me ask you this question. This is sort of in researching you guys, I have to say I am fascinated with the products, and clearly you guys do have a passion for security and helping people. But with it being extremely expensive to start up these tech companies, you're essentially forced to find funding, often referred to as toxic debt, toxic loans, that have less than favorable terms. I want to talk about one note in particular that has many shareholders concerned. And I promised I would bring this up because, well, why not? Basically, and I'm sure you're familiar with this note. I mean, there are many notes in your filings, but this one particularly, the end of it, it sort of summarizes here. The note has certain default provisions, such as failure to pay any principal or interest when due, and failure to maintain a minimum market capitalization of $30 million. In the event of these or any other default provisions, the note becomes due and payable at 125%. So a lot of people, and this is sort of the way I take it, that if you do fall to that 30 million below $30 million market cap, you're going to have to take care, and that's going to be upfront, and you're going to have to pay that at 125%. Just clear the air with that one, because I just like your thoughts on that note specifically.
I feel a little guilty letting you talk about it. The note's been paid. It was paid a while back.
Welcome to Buffalo Fireside Chats.
26 million shares or something like that hit the authorized. It didn't even cause a blip in the action.
So that note is gone. Done.
It's gone. It's gone. It's been gone. I think I closed it in February. I want to say January or February is when I closed it. And I'm glad you brought it up. And I'm glad that you talked about the toxic terms on it. When I took that note in August, okay, I had a full intent to pay it back in 6 months, which is what I did. Nothing converted. I had to give a little bit of warrants up front, but we paid it off. And I'm glad that you talk about that, because if you look at our books, which obviously you have, what can you find? You found one convertible note, which has been paid off. So what does AITX have right now? 0 convertible notes, 0 toxic convertible notes, 0 convertible notes. We've got notes from a shareholder that has been with us since almost the beginning, has $25-30 million owing to him, pushes back the debt, knows our journey, is a friend of mine. I mean, if you want to talk about having the right cap table with the right people supporting you with debt and buying into your equity on the preferred side, I mean, I will go up against any other OTC company as far as clean cap table and debt table. So yeah, you want to talk about a CEO that manages his debt and manages his dilution better than anybody else? I will submit my name for that award.
Good. All right, and I'm going to bring up another question that was submitted to me about dilution in a little bit, but I do want to move along and just we'll come back to that, But I want to ask about microchips. All right, and the global shortage in microchips, has that affected your ability to maintain production or scale it up? How has that affected productivity?
It's been there was a period of time during COVID, and as COVID was ending, where supply chains were just messed up across the board. Now, from a chip standpoint, from our standpoint, chips for us go in a few different areas of the devices. So on the one hand, if you're talking about a Romeo, it has a lot of chips. Its heart and soul is a Siemens PLC that drives everything. It's safety certified. It's a big deal. It's an expensive piece, 9 to 12 month lead time. Wow. There's 9 to 12 month lead time on a lot of Romeo parts, which is another reason why I pushed it back in the development cycle, because if I've got an opportunity for a different product to revenue quicker, I got to go that way. So yeah, so it stalled Romeos. It messed up the production path on Romeo for sure. But I just got to give credit to our team for bouncing our way through it and for changing chips. There was one point, I talked about that team that does our electronics engineering for RadG. So the board that we want to make that we offer as an OEM piece, it's not like we woke up one morning and said, hey, let's spend 18 months and build this board, blah, 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 blah. We started with a little board, and then we've been building. You know, you got to crawl before you run. So that project, we were running 3 concurrent development cycles and bringing some of those first milli A, milli B products that we use internally to market, so that we would be able to choose, hey, who's got chips? You got chips? Okay, I got the board for you, as opposed to going down one path and getting to the end of it and they didn't have the chips. It was a pain in the ass, but I think the team navigated admirably. So we had limited effects other than aggravation.
Well, it seems like you were using supply and demand to your advantage there to try and move ahead something else, which is great, and great way to pivot there. So which, you know, you got to be versatile. I
really love these questions, Eric, because you know, we've got fans, and I seek to educate the fans, and they don't always know the right questions to ask. So having you ask these questions makes me feel good, because I'm getting the information in your hands. I'm getting it into our other investors and followers' hands.
Great. John does have a good question here. Speaking of AI, does your AI retrain on data in real time? For example, if one ROSA learns from an event, does it propagate it to all ROSAs through the cloud? That's a really interesting question.
It's funny. So last night I was out at dinner with GHS. GHS is our primary funder right now. And so I was out with the principal and one of his guys, and we're just talking, you know, we're talking, he's a tech guy, right? We've got 90 portfolio companies. He's a great guy. They trade so well. They're so anyway. And we start talking about quantum computing and regenerative AI. He calls it regenerative AI. He's like, Steve, I got a couple investments going on in regenerative AI. And I say, so what is regenerative AI? Well, it trains itself to get better. And I was like, okay, well, how does it do that? And then we started talking about it, because I live in that world. I live in the world where false positives are a problem. And we've distinguished ourselves in the market with our process of how we train false positives out of the system. So we have a dashboard, and when you're getting your alerts, you know, I got a button on it. No one else has a button on it where you can declare it a false positive. It goes into a bucket. And then that bucket, every few days, our internal perception team takes it, and we do a retraining on whichever library, or we add it into the library, do a retraining on it. So it is a manual process. And there is an element of training that requires human interaction. And this automatic retraining thing, for me, the knowledge and AI experience that I have isn't real. There's a bucket, there's a guy, there's annotation happening and retraining happening.
Yeah, definitely the human interaction element is important at this phase in artificial intelligence development, you know. And so, and I actually have, I'm going to refer to that later, just because I find a couple things very, very fascinating in talking with AI. But I want to get to a couple other questions first. But yeah, you definitely struck on something there that I'm going to bring up in a little bit.
Great.
So, you know, there's so much that goes into sustaining a business like AITX, especially one like you guys, because of the cost, the manpower needed, the marketing, you know, and you talk about branding earlier and how cool that is. I mean, that's awesome, you know. But, you know, in regards to the structuring of shares, what macroeconomic scenarios, market conditions would trigger a restructuring of the shares? So, I mean, right?
I mean, like, what a huge open-ended speculative type question.
Just a little speculation there, right?
I mean, I don't even know. Like, I don't even have an answer. I mean, I can talk for a couple minutes about nothing, but we won't be any ahead on it. I don't even know. My headspace isn't anywhere near that. I got nothing.
Got it.
Sorry. That's for
deal with it when it
you
comes.
And the rest of that's for you and the other people to speculate on. I don't live in that world. I live in a concrete world of sales, deployments, customers, growth, and fundamental attention.
Yeah. There were many shareholders that I talked to that were happy to see you guys taking some cost-cutting measures because it's going to be easier to save money than go out and find more money. But how will this preserve capital and affect the backlog on orders that you have? Is it gonna impede on your guys' productivity at all?
We did 2 small riffs. We went from 92 team members to 69 team members. The first riff was a couple teams that were near and dear to my heart, building future technology for the company. That is important and will have to be restarted for sure. Specifically, I won't get into the details, but so that sucked, you know. Now the interesting thing is I was looking around, you know, as I was seeing this capital crunch, you know, which the whole market is experiencing right now, and I'm thinking, okay, how do we mitigate, how do we navigate through this? You know, there's better days ahead. How do we navigate through this? How do we build strength in the time of distress? And I said to myself, no one else is even close to us on half this stuff. So I can pick this up later and still get it done. And in fact, one of the leaders of that team, I had a discussion with him this morning about just that. So we'll see when we can get that going. The second riff was like a trimming. Again, very painful for me. A couple of the resources kind of changed from being full-time to just kind of being contract, right? You know, we've amassed very, very, very good people, and I certainly don't want to lose them. And we've got a strong relationship with our team members, like a real, genuine, sincere relationship. So it hurt, but you know, we agonized over the cuts, and really, kind of every department in the company just kind of gave up a head in order for us to get to a certain number that I believe is comfortably sustainable without impacting current operations, deployments, and builds. So,
well, I'll be honest, like I get tight with people, and that would be a very, very hard decision, I know, for me to make, because when you're obviously impacting people's life, but your lives, but you want to build a sustainable business, and so you know, do you see like in the next year to two your operations expanding exponentially? I guess let's put the more positive spin on this in retaining some of those minds that you had an opportunity to work with.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have an economic time of pretty significant uncertainty. You know, we have a federal government, you know, really driving global economic activity down and driving liquidity down, which hurts all kinds of startups and hurts everybody, hurts our pocketbooks with inflation, hurts job opportunities. It's not good. And we're not necessarily here to debate the merits of it and inflation, and that's not going to get any of our team members ahead, any of our investors ahead, but we got to manage our way through it. So in order for me to do that, I have to take a close eye on cost, and I have to build sales. So that's what we're doing. If we get to some decent numbers that I think we can get to by the end of the fiscal year, I hope that when that happens, liquidity increases, our market cap goes up, we get to the QB, a lot of good things happen. A lot of good things might happen with the exposure we get for Stars on Mars. So it's a very fluid environment. But my expectation is next fiscal year, we certainly might double in size in terms of headcount for sure. Yeah. And that would come from more production staff on the line as we build more implementation staff. And I'd really like to kind of rebuild some of the research and development projects that I've had to cut.
Yeah, and you know what? In doing these interviews, like having people on and just talking with CEOs, managing directors, and you know, I see a lot of you guys have a ton of passion for what you do. And I've had people on with all different types of share structures, and you know, that is the battle. The business battle is that, you know, behind, you know, the stock price, you know, is all the elements that go into building a successful business, and some are harder than others. You know, some have a more simplified business format. So it's nice to have you on just to answer some of these questions, you know, and just get into your mind a little bit, because I don't know, it fascinates me. I did have a comment from Bailey, the investor, just about the loans, where the lender gets, and I'm not familiar with what loans they're referring to, where the lender gets the percentage of gross revenue in perpetuity. What is the total percentage, or am I misunderstanding the arrangement?
I'll clarify the arrangement for sure. And I appreciate the question.
Yep.
Before I address it, though, I want to go back to what you had said just prior, which is, talking to CEOs, directors, and senior level staff. I just want to say that there's a significant difference between a straight up CEO, a hired gun type CEO, and a founder CEO. There's just a very big difference. A founder CEO, if he's managed his financial engineering properly or well, has a majority equity interest and a majority controlling interest. And that's what I have here. What that does is that creates additional responsibility, additional duty, additional pressure. Sometimes I think about just being a straight, CEO, like guys who just get CEO jobs, work here for 5 years, work there 5 years. And it kind of feels kind of nice. I'm like, okay, so you didn't create the company, you didn't hire everybody, you didn't, invent the roadmap and all the products and stuff. Well, that must be nice just to go show up at work. I got to show up at work. I've hired everybody pretty much. I have relationships with everybody, created everything. So it creates an interesting dynamic, which I love, but I call it a full body experience. You cannot be a founder CEO doing what we do without being all in every way. So
I gotta say, like that's what I find really cool about OTC companies and young companies is that you guys are literally, when I say in the trenches, doing all of it. And the prime example right here, you talking about developing your AI software, your mobile units and all that stuff. It's so cool. But let's get on to a Bailey question regarding the loans.
Yeah, you listen, there's a royalty agreement in place. The sums of money accrue, and the payout and cleanup on it will happen when we uplist to NASDAQ. That's it. That's the answer.
Cool.
Nothing more to it.
Excellent. Yeah. Tactical Reviews is in the house. Welcome, Tactical Reviews. How you doing? He's been on since day one. So shout out to you, sir. Now, I was talking about AI it was just, we were in a group. We were just hanging out, probably around the fire. I don't remember. It was late night. But it got really awkward quick.
It got awkward quick.
It did get awkward quick because I started talking AI, and I'm like, artificial intelligence, where do we think this is going? I forgot what sparked the conversation, but there is a sense of extreme caution and fear with our reliance on artificial intelligence. And we talked a little bit about this earlier, but what are some of the red flags you have? I was just out today, literally. I was out today and I was talking to a friend literally 3 hours ago. And I go, yeah, I have an interview with an AI company, Steve Reinharz, he's coming on. And, he's like, oh, I don't like it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't like it? That's it? You just don't like it? So what are some of your reservations, for some red flags that you have if we start relying too heavily on this technology?
Yeah. I mean, the first way that I look at it is from the viewpoint of inevitability. So the way that I see this is I see this as a bit of a tidal wave. We're on shore, we're on the beach, and I see this tidal wave headed towards us. And the tidal wave is full of change and disruption and disorientation and chaos to some extent. And that wave is AI. And what I'm doing as a human and as a citizen and as a parent and a spouse and so forth is I'm saying, okay, how do I position myself in order to not get swept away by the wave? And for that reason, I'm on the wave. I'm part of the wave, right? Some battles you can't win, you have to join them. So we've definitely joined the wave. We're a part of it, obviously hoping to lead the way into prop tech like I talked about earlier. At the same time, and I first wrote about this in the early 90s when I first put out kind of my first thought piece, my first book on artificial intelligence, which is crazy, right? I was 19 years old, but we should be very scared about it. We should be. It is going to be incredibly challenging. Many people are going to benefit greatly, like all changes, and the majority of the people are going to suffer and be worse off because of it. It's just how change happens. That's why, again, folks who follow me, hear me encourage them to learn about AI, get on the wave with us. So what do I think the biggest impediment to a successful, smooth integration of AI into our world is? I'll share that with you. But before I do that, I'll share with you, we will not have a smooth and easy and reasonable and well-informed integration of AI into our world. And that was illustrated most recently when Sam Altman was giving a deposition. I don't know his deposition, but giving testimony to a Senate committee earlier this week, where he's basically saying the same thing. And the problem with this whole bit, the reason why our AI implementation as a society, as a civilization, as a species is going to be so messed up is because politics. We can't decide on basic human rights. We can't decide on much together as a team. Then when we're in a situation where you're either on one side or the other, that's it. Don't cross the aisle because we'll crucify you. That environment makes it impossible to tackle big challenges like AI. And I can't understate how big a challenge AI is. So I feel we're dreadfully equipped as a society. And I think it's going to be a mess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I'm not getting political, but, no matter who's in charge, we can't balance a freaking budget. And yet we have to try and get all the things right, especially with something as sensitive as this. And, like when Stuart puts out a comment like this, quantum computing will change AI to the point of being able to reason itself. No more bucket needed on down the road. And, that's the type of sentiment. I mean, like, I think a lot of us have that, in the back of our minds. And like you just stated, like, we are our own worst enemy sometimes, and we go out to solve a problem and we end up making the problem 20 times worse. That's sort of like, I don't know, it just tends to happen from time to time. So
it is. I appreciate that you brought up a Stuart Woods thing. Stuart, I just noticed you had a comment here from 5 minutes ago. I'm a long stockholder. I will have to say I met Steve Bin of the Rex. Yep, I remember meeting you. He came down the mountain for us. That was awesome. Steps around questions. I take issue with that. Put any questions in there that you think I'm stepping around, because I do not step around questions. So just want to clarify that and challenge you to tell me what questions I'm stepping around.
Right on. And you know what, guys? If you're new to the BFC, I really try to go in as objectively as possible. And I try to I ask shareholders, what are your questions? What are your comments? What are your concerns? And I bring up some of my own questions, and I really pull from what I think is going to be the most thoughtful. So that's why I want to do this live. That's why I want to have the open chat. And my thing is just keep it respectful. Ask questions of substance that are thoughtful. Oh my God. As a teacher, I'm doing the wrong thing here. I'm confusing R and hour. That's a problem. Too much coffee today.
It went fast, by the way. It went really fast.
Yeah. Oh man. So AITX. Now you did talk about Stars on Mars. Yeah. AITX in the Blue Beetle 2023 was awesome. That was cool. Bravo to that. Can you expand on, other than Stars on Mars, any other movies or TV shows AITX might be in, or do you have any leads on that?
Yeah, there's a total of 5 kind of productions that we are in, or that we participated in. One was shot in Hawaii, and we didn't send anybody. It was Disney production, Disney Plus production. We didn't make it into any of the scenes so far as we could tell, and that was disappointing. I had low expectations, and I prepared the group to have low expectations on it, but nonetheless, it was annoying to me. The other is a movie coming with definitely a fan favorite, up and coming starlet, and there's one scene that we're in with one of our old Scott units, and it's an incredible scene. I have it because we record everything that we do, so I have that scene, and it's awesome. It's awesome. After it comes out, I'll tell you a story about it. So that's coming out. What happens in different types of movies is a production company will make a movie, and that movie might have already been sold to distribution, or they might sell it in progress, or they might sell it at the end. So the 2 smaller productions, the one with the starlet and then one with a huge star, Both of those were smaller productions sold into distribution, which means that after the production company sells it, they got to call up the distribution company to find out when the movie's coming out. I don't have the dates on that. I expect them both this summer. So those are two productions with big stars coming out this summer. We have small parts in each of them. Blue Beetle, we have what should be a lot of eye candy. We sent them, and we sent them 2 team members for 2 weeks, plus
Wow.
I want to say 2 or 3 Romeo and 2 or 3 Scott. And you can see from that one scene that they put out there that, that particular scene, the scenes at the headquarters for that particular entity, where we should be all over. They made special accommodation to get us into more scenes. What's going to be included? I don't know, but I know that we're going to be in it, and I know it's going to be exciting. And actually, we're talking with them right now about having some of our devices at the premiere in Hollywood. So
that's cool.
How cool would that be? They suggested it. They want to have, people take pictures in front of Romeo decked out like in that thing, right? So how cool is that? That'd be cool. Anyway, it's not confirmed, but we're working on it. And then the 4th, 5th production is the Stars on Mars thing, which blows them all away in terms of interaction with RAD devices, in terms of knowing it's a RAD device, and having positive impressions from it. So yeah, it's wild. I will share with you, we don't pay for any of this placement. This isn't product placement. These productions come to us and ask us to be included in their productions.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Well, hopefully we see Red Dog and the other units on the red carpet, and you can have a new brand of A-list security systems.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be awesome. I know the Jordan would like me to have you discuss Bailey's Gift.
Yeah, and then I would love to talk about Thebes 1, any contract with hospitals. Bailey's Gift, Uvalde came out, and I'm not an ambulance chaser, but one of our guys is ex-FBI. He's out of Detroit, and there was a Detroit shooting, and on the day of his final interview with us, it was uncomfortable. And after Uvalde, him and I are talking about it, and he's like, "Man, why don't we have a firearm detection analytic?" And I was like, "Troy, okay, fine, we'll do it." So we started the process to build the analytic. So along the lines of that, we start putting some, marketing campaign. How are we going to expose this without being, ambulance chasers or trying to, profit off someone's misery? And along the way, we met a mother whose daughter was killed 5-6 years ago in Kentucky, and the mother's name is Scarlett Secret Holt, and the daughter's name, the past, was Bailey. And we launched our firearm detection analytic, and we brought her to New York to do the launch with us. And I met her. Obviously, I sat beside her at the event, and she shared these stories, and it was so touching and just heart-wrenching that I said to her, I said, "Hey, what can we do? How can I help support you?" And she's like, I just want any and all technology to be everywhere that it possibly can. I want to do everything I possibly can so that no one has to go through this. And it was fascinating and horrifying. And she's so brave. It's more than just the unimaginable tragedy of losing a child, right? Like, it's more than that, because then she said, afterwards, then, how the community views you and your actions, it creates a ripple effect that just destroys lives. And it's amazing what she's done with her husband and her other daughter. So I was moved to make some type of meaningful contribution to the project of protecting our children, of potentially reducing casualties in the event of the unthinkable. So we came up with the idea of Bailey's Gift, named after Bailey Holt. So many schools have been approved. I think we've got 12 schools in some state of deployment right now. We cover all the costs related. I think schools are going to be coming online during the summer. Part of the reason is when we do a deployment of firearm detection, we want to run real scenarios on site. Because we don't know. And there's nobody in the world who will truthfully tell you that every analytic is going to work in every situation every time. But from our perspective, for our due diligence, I want to run around those facilities with weapons and test the systems and have the confidence myself that it's going to work well. There's shadows, there's all different kinds of things that affect analytics. It's difficult and uncomfortable to do that during the school year. So I think this summer is going to be, we're going to get these systems tuned up, finished up, and ready to go. And I'm excited and grateful for those schools, and hopefully we never have to use them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You wanted to answer this one. Any contracts with hospitals? Yeah,
and then I want to do a reverse split, and then I got to go. Unless I'll give you one last one after that. But let's do contract with hospitals. Yes, contract with hospital. It's been press released. They're using RadLight My Way. They have over 100 staff members enrolled in it already. It's part of a big healthcare network. I'm hoping that we can get final acceptance in June and go public with it, because I put in our contract that they have to go public after acceptance. So, and it fits kind of who they are and where they're at too, unlike some other customers. So yeah, very excited about it. We've got many other hospitals and hospital networks in our sales funnel as well.
Right on. And yes, I think it's Boom that has the question about reverse split. Question mark.
Reverse split. You know, Boom. I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. Why do you think? Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much.
Lisa Matthews is an awesome supporter, by the way. She's been here since day one. Oh. I think what was it? 7 or 8? You were 7th or 8th.
That's really, really nice, Lisa. And yeah, okay. I got to move past Bailey's gift because it'll paralyze me. Boom. What's with all the chatter about the reverse split? We have 7.25 billion shares authorized. Some of these tickers that you all are in have 15, 20 billion shares authorized with 10 billion available or more, right? I don't understand why this keeps coming up as an issue. I don't understand why people think it's inevitable. I filed corporate paperwork restricting us from, thank you, Boom, restricting us from filing an RS until January 1st. And I have it under serious consideration to extend it another 2 or 3 years. I don't have to make that decision right now. But man, oh man, RS is a tool used by different types of OTC companies from time to time for various reasons. And certainly it has a negative reputation because scam tickers have used it to abuse shareholders. But good tickers don't. And we're a good ticker. So what else can I say? I mean, that's about all I can say.
Yeah, I know you're on a time crunch, and you got about 5 minutes left or so.
Yeah, I'm until my wife comes up and says we got to get dinner.
Whack you. Yeah. That's all right. See, I hope mine's not watching this upstairs because I might just get the treatment. No, I'm just kidding.
I might be watching downstairs. I don't know.
I do have 2 quick questions for you. Well, what was the rationale for removing Gaming Edge from the AITX business? Wouldn't that have added value to the company? So I know somebody reached out to me regarding that question. So could you tell us a little bit about why you guys moved Gaming Edge?
I'm really glad you asked the question. So I appreciate that. Gaming Edge was never an AITX property at all. So what happened was we had a project that I tried different things on the marketing side. I tried different elements of guerrilla marketing. And one of the guerrilla marketing projects that I started was an esports team. And we had, 4, 5, 6 people that were esports athletes, and they, talked about AITX. We brought dogs to some tournaments and so forth. And a couple things happened. We kind of started it when we had more money, and which was fine. And then we didn't get any real uplift, either from sales leads or volume to the stock from the program. So the program was really languishing, and I was talking to the program director about killing it. And then, I had to riff people. So I can tell you, I am going to cut ancillary guerrilla type projects before I cut one of my team members. So that project went away well before Gaming Edge was ever created. Now, what's going to probably happen is if anything comes of Gaming Edge, well, we'll see what happens. But AITX is out of that space. AITX is head down focused on our core business. We spent $36,000 over 6 or 7 months. I don't remember. I know the number's 36,000. I don't remember the months. So I think it was 6 or 7 months on our esports team. And hey, I try stuff, doesn't always work.
Okay, thank you for answering that. All right, I want to close with this. All right, because I think this would give some good closure. And I do have some other things to discuss, so make sure you guys stick around. But given your experience with these technologies, can you paint a picture of where and how you see artificial intelligence in 10 years from now? And I know you touched a little bit on that with the prop tech. And how will it impact our society? And I'm not just going to generically ask you, will a robot be delivering my pizza in 2033? But where does AITX fit into the future you see? I'd love to just hear your response to that.
Sure. And I love that you clarified the question with that ending question piece, right? Because it's easier for me to share with you where I think AITX will be in 10 years than where I think society will be at large. AITX is building the technology to hopefully dominate prop tech, to redefine and dominate prop tech, which is about a $50 billion business right now. So that's really exciting for us. That means more products, more software, more connectivity, more across the breadth of systems out there. It's also going to involve some consolidation in both the guarding businesses and the security integration business. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting. But there'll be some, and this will be across a lot of industries in terms of consolidation and simplification as some platforms become dominant incumbent platforms in the industries. So that will happen. And where do I want us? I want us dominating ingress, egress, loitering, deterrence, physical interaction in terms of deterrence. I want to take our Romeo platform and make it into a delivery vehicle called Dave. We've got the technology. I expect RadDog to evolve from being something, as a security deterrent to being more of a personal guard in many ways. So the future for us is pretty bright. And I'll share with you on a closing remark from me, and you close however you want, is that I've suffered a lot throughout this process, right? I went years without pay, sitting in a high risk environment where nothing was guaranteed, and nothing still is guaranteed for me, for you, for anybody. But I certainly gave up other options and opportunities in order to bring this company to where it's at. I will share with you that one of my key motivations, what gets me up in the morning, puts a smile on my face, and makes me go fight for the day for this company, is that I know that these innovations are going to be brought to market by somebody. And I'm going to be the guy to do it. Not going to give up until we do. So that's where I'm at.
Right on. And honestly, thank you so much for joining me here on the BFC. I hope we could get together again in a month or two. And yeah, you are always welcome here. I have an open door policy. Thank you, Steve, for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Reinharz.
Thank you so much, Eric. Listen, I think we will want to get together in a month. Follow us, see everything that's happening. We're going to want to talk in a month. Everybody who joined and supported, thank you, everybody. We'll see you around.
All right, Steve Reinharz, that was awesome. Let me know some of your comments below. As promised, I want to talk a little bit about some of the I'm just laughing at a couple things right now. By the way, it's great to see everybody. Alec, good to see you. Good to see you, Alec Weinberg, a frequenter. Hope you guys are doing awesome. So hope you guys are having a great night. So yeah, like I'll tell you, it is time for a 3-chord. Yes, it is. Very, very, very good. Yes. Now we can get the party started. Now we already had the party started. What a great guest. I look forward to having him on again. A lot of information. And, I'm just, I'm really humbled by having all of these guys come on. seriously, I mean, you guys don't know. I mean, like, this started a year ago, and I like touching base with people and just getting to pick their brains and learning about, the real structure behind the company, you know. And yeah, please hit the like button. Hey, if there's a thanks button, hey, buy me a cup of coffee. But no, seriously, I want to talk about three stocks now, and I wanted to share this with you guys because I've been doing some more digging that I think are going to be absolutely awesome in the next year. And I wanted to do this just to show you guys just sort of where I'm at with my investments. I have a lot that I've been covering. I have a lot that I'm looking into get into, and I'm going to be calling out more plays, more long-term investments, because think about this right now. We're in a bear market. Everything is so low. There's been a complete retracement. We're in a high inflationary period. And so this is the time when you want to find good investments and sort of, look around. So let me just get right to it. Let's go right here. The first one is triple DX. All right. I mean, seriously, this this company is going to do great things. I am invested now. I pulled the trigger. Let's look at the security details. I'll tell you, this is why this one is sexy. All right. 2.7 million market cap, 175 million outstanding shares or authorized shares, and under 100 million outstanding shares, with most of them being restricted. So they're sitting with an unrestricted share count of 44 million with that float of 44 million. That is unbelievable. And you know what? They are in the 3D metal printing technology. Let's look here. Here's one of the latest PRs that they have had. And so I'll put this in the link when I upload this video. And by the way, I have had the vice president, Nick Coriano, on this show 3 times, and he's going to be on again. I'm going to have the CEO on soon. I'm going to have actually the whole freaking team on, and I'm probably going to be live streaming their shareholder meeting. So you are going to want to subscribe if you want an investment that's a freaking low float, low market cap, that has a lot, and the management is stellar. They're highly ambitious. You're definitely going to want to check these guys out. Not financial advice, but man, this freaking ticker, it looks so good. It does. It looks so good. So this said, let's look at just a quote here, this paragraph. The 3D printing industry is rapidly evolving, and 3DX Industries is well positioned to take advantage of this growth. A recent survey from Hubs, a Protolabs company, predicts the 3D printing market will grow by 24% to reach $45.5 billion by 2026. 3DX president and CEO Roger Jansen states, "We remain committed to providing customers with cutting-edge solutions and expanding our presence in the industry." Management's ownership of over 37% of the issued and outstanding shares in 3DX is a testament to our confidence in the additive manufacturing sector and our commitment to building 3DX Industries into a global leader in industrial metal printing. And he goes on, "We appreciate the support of our shareholders and will continue to provide timely updates and developments on the company." And Nick Coriano actually put out a tweet. I don't have the tweet here, but he said, OTC companies, they talk about dollars. He thinks about dividends, and that's his mindset. The guy's solid, and I can't wait to have him back on the show. The other one that I'm talking about is one that I called it 18 cents, and it's sitting at 13 cents now. DRCR. They do sports betting, all kinds of stuff. Let's look at their most recent PR here. They've increased their revenues 11,500%. Okay. These guys are absolutely stellar. When I went down to the ilus shareholder meeting, they were having their shareholder meeting down there as well. I didn't get a chance to make it down to that one. And I regret not going to the early morning shareholder meeting. And next time, if that's offered, I definitely will be going. So I'm just going to read this here. Today, Swifty filed its impressive Q1 2023 financial results with all metrics substantially increased from the same period 2022. The results are excellent considering that the company launched its first product to the market less than 12 months ago and has grown organically while also increasing its cash reserves and profitability. Swifty's rapid growth trajectory is illustrated by revenues reaching 19 million in Q1 2023 versus 165,000 in Q1 2022. A quarter over quarter increase of 11,500%. Cash in the bank has also increased by 7,166% during the same period. Man, this thing is going to fly when we return to a bull market, when money starts pouring in and more eyes get on these stocks. And there is one more. All right. I never thought I'd talk about cattle feed on this channel, but IFUS Impact Fusion International. This is sitting at 1.3 cents. They have the yield on that's at to come out, could come off very soon. We will see. We know how that goes. You see YBL shareholders, it goes from yield to crossbones, and they have their filings in, and we're still waiting. And you know what? Sometimes that shit happens. So, this is their most recent PR. And basically, Impact Fusion International conducts scientific animal trials of its SGP plus alternative proprietary formulation that continue to validate improved herd performance. So essentially, what they're doing is they're adding, if I'm correct, and I'm going to have a gentleman on that in a couple weeks that is going to explain this whole process. So, and this could totally change the farming industry and how it could lower costs and improve the quality of the meat that we're getting and reduce methane. It's really, really impressive the way he was explaining it. But if I tried to explain it, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to screw it up. So I'm going to have a gentleman called the Professor on. He has a Discord. They actually have an IFIS Discord. I'm going to have him on to explain this so I don't screw it up, because I don't like paraphrasing. I don't like explaining things the wrong way. But basically, it's could be an absolute meat industry changer. So this is one to have on your radar. Obviously, I want to see that yield come off, but I like to invest in the idea and the team. So we're gonna find out more about that. And I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me look at the comments. All right. Wow, you guys have been talking. See, I own DRCR. I do not own DRCR. Like, it's on my list. What do you guys got? All of it. You spelled ilus wrong. IFIS. That's funny. Man, Jord, Lisa. Oh, John asks, how are we feeling about CYBL? Oh, and boom, it mentions OZSC. I'll take a look at that one. Why the hell not? How are we feeling about CYBL? Let me explain my thoughts right here with CYBL. It's bullshit. They have their filings in. They have not had any amendments required. All right. And hell, even Sam Aker says that they should be good to go. I think the OTC markets is dragging their feet. You have to look at how long they had the yield sign on though for. So, I think that they should be paying current. I know that some people like to target certain stocks. I'm not going to bring up anybody in particular, but you guys could pick my brain. But they have their filings in for quarter 1. They have, and a lot of those government contracts weren't on there. I think that goes through a whole different process. But based on the due diligence and based on the government files, that they have gotten contracts with the DoD. They do have lobbying efforts and a lobbying firm in Washington. This isn't made up out of thin air. This is the real deal. This is the truth. And so I think we're going to find out a lot the minute they get paying current. But OTC markets, if you're listening, come on, step on it, please, because guess what? A lot of us want to buy more, and a lot of people want to load up on what they think is going to be a huge defense contractual company. It's going to be huge. And I totally messed up that sentence. But whatever. Cheers to hump day, guys. Happy Wednesday to you guys. And cheers to you guys. As the old BFC mug. So, all right. That was awesome. It was great having Steve on, and I can't wait to have him on again. And I do have an interview coming up next Wednesday. I've been doing some digging, and it's great. I'm having some people reach out to me. Obviously, everybody that reaches out to me for an interview and to come on the show, one, I never get paid anything to host anybody, but I want to make sure it's something that I'm interested in, a company that, has interesting products. They have anytime, John, anytime. That's cool. I like to invest in management. I like to invest in ideas. I like to invest in products that I think are going to economize our way of living and save lives. And that's why I like ilus. That's why I like AITX. I now find intriguing because of their long gun detection could be a freaking game changer in security. So, man, I'll tell you. All right, this is it, man. It was a long night. It was a long night. You guys could go. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. All right, I'm being cheesy now. Oh man. All right, guys, listen, that is all I got. I hope you guys have a great day, have a great night, and I'll be doing an update tomorrow, probably, or Friday. There's so much. I mean, seriously, ilus, cybl, nugn, triple dx, cgra. I mean, a lot going on with them. They're in mining now. They're in sports. They're going to be acquiring. They're going to be hustling and bustling, and they're going places. I'm super long on cgra too. So, all right, I'm gonna stop rambling. You guys have an awesome day, and remember, there's more that binds us than breaks us. You guys have a great night. Peace.